In this video, I'm going to describe the types of problems that we attack with Transparent Meta and why we built Transparent Meta. There's an interesting study from Berkeley back in 2024 that's discovered that the public mistakes an AI-generated voice for a human 80% of the time. Audio deepfakes are almost indistinguishable from human-created utterances and speaking. So what that means is that audio deepfakes are a big problem, and indeed we've seen that already in society. So audio deepfakes have been used for frauding and for entering like the account balance, like the bank balance of like people who shouldn't be there. And audio deepfakes or video deepfakes more in general have been used also in political and geopolitical contexts. Like for example, probably you may remember the famous Volodymyr Zelensky video audio deepfake at the beginning of the Russian invasion, with a fake Volodymyr Zelensky saying, "Hey, soldiers, Ukrainian soldiers, you should just stop because we're gonna just like, accept like Russia like entering Ukraine." So yeah, and it's not just like that. It's the fact is that audio deepfakes, or deepfakes in general, are all over the internet. And the problem is that it has become very difficult to understand what's true. And by true, I mean like human created and what's fake. In other words, what's AI generated. And this is a societal problem at all levels, like from the individual all the way to geopolitics. Now, in order to address this problem, a solution is to mark audio content as AI generated. And this is a stance like that many powers all over the world have started like to think about. And indeed here in Europe, from where I'm recording this, in the European Union, we have a piece of legislation that's called the EU AI Act. And there's a particular provision, that's Article 50, Section 2, that talks about output transparency. And that is that all the AI-generated content should be marked as such, so that an end user can tell whether he or she is dealing with something that has been generated by an AI. But Europe is not the only like power to dealing with output transparency law. There's also like other countries, like for example in the US, specifically in California, there's a piece of legislation that's very similar to the EU AI Act that's called the California AI Transparency Act, that more or less has the same provision that we have here in Europe. That is that all the content that's AI generated should be marked as such, so that end users can actually realize whether or not they're dealing like with the AI generated content. And there's also a Council of Europe Convention on AI, where countries from all over like the Western world have agreed to have some sort of like output transparency enforcement, and the legislation is stacking up like quite a lot. This is the context within which we've decided to develop Transparent Meta to attack this problem, the problem of AI generated content that's not recognizable from human created content. And indeed, Transparent Meta addresses that specific problem specifically for audio content.